You're watching Lansdowne, your home for Irish football news and nostalgia. Gus Poyet turns down the boys in green. How do you feel about it? Are you happy? You sad? You glad? The FAI aren't talking about it. However, we are, and I want to hear from you. I want to get your thoughts on what you think about Gus Poyet turning down the boys in green. Coming up on Lansdowne Roar Live. Turn that bleed music off. How's it going? You're very welcome to a live edition of Lansdowne Roar on this Easter Sunday. David Dunn here, flying solo tonight. And of course, as always, if you like what you hear, love what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Head over to our YouTube, our Instagram, head over to our Twitter and our Facebook. I think I said Facebook. Anyway. How are you all doing? This is Irish football's most interactive podcast, so the most fan-friendly as well. So as always, guys, whatever we talk about here tonight, we are going to be talking about Gus Poyet. Of course, I want to get your opinion on that. What do you think about it? Are you happy about it? Do you think the FAI know what they're doing? Mark Canham has told people within the FAI, it's been reported, not to pay attention to the media. Do you buy that? Tell me what you think. We'll stay on the air. I know it's Sunday night. I know it's Easter Sunday, so probably won't have as many people tonight, and I get that. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you think about that. Have your say, leave a comment, and get involved. And of course, you can ask me anything, really. The meaning of life. Anything you want to talk to me about. Anything Irish football related. I don't mind. Also, as I said, we are Irish football's most interactive podcast. We do have a brand new email address. So for our non-live shows, we want to get some comments from you guys, a bit of feedback, but mostly here it is here. It's pod@lansdowneroar.ie. That's pod@lansdowneroar.ie. Write that bad boy down. So if you have a story to tell, because, we are the voice of the fans. We do like to get to know you guys a bit better. So if there's a story you want to tell, as if in, what made you fall in love with the boys in green? When did you pop your first boys in green cherry? I don't know. Am I getting too weird? Or your proudest moment, your saddest moment, your favorite moment, your least favorite moment, and the moment that genuinely touched you, a funny story, anything. And also, if you want to just, give us a thumbs up and or a suggestion, a bit of feedback, by all means, that is pod@lansdowneroar.ie. And those stories we'll be reading out on the State of Play episodes, which aren't normally live. And hopefully we'll have another one out on Wednesday. I see the comments coming in there. So, yeah, keep those coming in, guys. We will get to that. Gus Poyet turns down the boys in green. Or did he? That's according to media reports in Greece. We're going to get into it, I suppose. We're going to talk... first, I suppose, is our boys in green. And I'll tell you what, Nuri, if you are watching, he normally gives out when there isn't three of us on. It's just me on tonight. So, say he won't be a happy camper whatsoever. What I bought with the video? What I bought with it? Yeah, go on. Here we are. So, of course, this is the first weekend of action. Bank holiday football over here in Blighty. And some good, not great, little sparse, but some cracking news here. And Martin's not on to gloat about it. But we're going to start with the eye big. So, in the Premier League, Josh Cullen got a goal and assist. And Darrell O'Shea got a goal for Burnley in a 2-2 draw yesterday at Chelsea. 10-man Burnley. Chelsea couldn't do the business against him, which I think is hilarious. Seamus Coleman, though, did get an own goal against Everton in a 2-1 loss to Bournemouth. I am a Liverpool fan, so it's still hilarious. I'm sorry. Sorry, Seamus. You're still my captain. Championship, Jimmy Dunn got an absolute superb strike in a 2-1 win for QPR over Birmingham City. What a goal that was, if you saw that. And also, by the way, Josh Cullen's goal was very nice. One hit, bang. Sort of like a mini version of Alan McLaughlin's without the, but no, Jimmy Dunn, an absolute screamer at Loftus Road. What a goal from that boy there. probably a little unlucky to miss out in the squad. We'll get to that in a minute. Mark Sykes got an assist for Bristol City in a 1-0 win over Leicester. And Robbie Brady got an assist for Preston in a 3-1 win over Rotherham. Easy for me to say. And as I said, Robbie Brady, shame on you, whoever you are, for counting him out and down. I said I was one of those. I'm sure the lads at the ROM would agree with me that always said Robbie Brady, no way. He's too talented. He's too good. He's not finished. He's got plenty more to offer the boys in green. The lads would agree, but they're not on. Also, Alex Gilbert got an assist for Middlesbrough in a 1-1 draw against Southampton. And in Scotland, Anamaida today got an assist for Celtic in a 3-0 win over Livingston. So, there you go. That's pretty much it. And, of course, Caoimhin Gallagher did all right, I think, for Liverpool in a 2-1 win over Brighton. Well, Evan Ferguson, his poor run continues, and that is kind of worrying there. We're going to get into the main story, I guess, which is Gus Poyet. Did he reject Ireland? So reports came out yesterday. So the Irish Examiner, John Fallon, friend of the pod, basically said that it was reported in the Greek media, and this is what he was alluding to. Now, I know it says Poget. Now, that is a Greek page translated into English. So blame Google, and that is a translation that I took. So it is Poyet. Gustavo Poyet rejects Ireland's 5-year contract. Now, it is sort of doing the rounds, I suppose. It has caught fire. The FEI are refusing to comment on it, so they're like, well, we don't really know about that. But it is regarded, widely believed, while the contract length is well off the mark, the FEI haven't come out to quash the story. That's according to The Independent, publicly or privately, which is contrast from other names that have popped up. Issues believed to have arisen, if we believe that Gus Poyet did actually turn down an Ireland job, is the fact that he wasn't able to pick fully his own backroom staff. Now, his son is on his backroom staff, so that's obviously going to be an issue there. And also, Director of Football Mark Canham has told football staff last Thursday that they shouldn't believe what they read in the media, and that the association are on course for appointment in April. And that is before this broke about Gus Poyet. Now, they said that due to contractual reasons that they couldn't appoint a manager or announce a manager till April. So 2 and 2 together, it is a reasonable equation to think that Gus Poyet would be the man. Now, of course, he was involved in a playoff, which they lost, Greece against Georgia, last Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. And they lost some penalties to Georgia. So, it was believed that whoever lost that game would basically get the Ireland job. And Gus Poyet has come out in public and talked about how much you'd love the Ireland job. A little bit of a tumultuous reign there in Greece. Like a little bit, Gus Poyet, he sort of falls out with most of his employers, doesn't he? So I don't know, to be honest with you. It does seems a bit mad, but the timing of it, they did say early April. He said, I could talk about it in 5 more days. And then it comes out that, he's turned it down. And the FAI haven't come out to deny it either. Trying to find a bit more information on it. And, of course, Willie Sagnol, who's the manager of Georgia, well, he's going to the Euros. We're not. Is that simple? John O'Shea has confirmed he would relish the chance to take on the role after stepping in as Ireland interim boss for this month's friendlies against Belgium and Switzerland. Of course, he drew one and lost one. We'll get to that in a second. So, I don't know, to be honest with you. What do you guys think of that? Do you think there's no smoke without fire? Or do you think it's just more conjecture? Because we've had nothing but conjecture, because nobody really knows. And to be fair to the FAI, they have kept this very, very quiet, much to the annoyance of many people, including myself and the media. But, at the end of the day, that's not their problem. I will reserve judgment on this. I've said it from the start. When I see the manager, whoever they unveil in early mid April, I will reserve my judgment. Now, as I said, if it is John O'Shea, now, it will show that a lot that they did not get their man. If they had started with John O'Shea from the very beginning, yes, I wouldn't be too mad at it. I'd be thinking, obviously he went out to Carsley and Carsley said no, and he went, all right, well, we'll go with John O'Shea. And he came out and said, look, we asked Lee Carsley. He said no, so we've gone with John O'Shea. It is a punt. We're taking a risk, but we believe in him, and we believe with the right coaching staff around him and the right amount of time, his standing in the game, etc., 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 etc. I go, okay, fair enough. And to be fair to John O'Shea, he has looked apart of his last two games. However, I wouldn't be getting carried away like Martin was. I know he's not here to defend himself, and I'm sure he'll censure me on the next episode of State of Play. But, at the end of the day, we were okay against Belgium. We should have won the game. We seem to have corrected the issues that we had, most of the issues that we had under Kenny. And he was, of course, a member of the coaching staff under Kenny. So he saw it firsthand. Now, whether he voiced those opinions and they weren't listened to by Stephen Kenny, there's probably a reason why he's not in the job now. But if he didn't voice those opinions, you kind of wonder about that as well. But he seemed to correct those, didn't he? And then you had the second game, Belgium looked good. But then against Switzerland, the second game, we sort of kind of reverted back to type. We weren't aggressive. We weren't pushing on. Okay, we changed it a little bit, but we weren't great. And we were very static. It was very, very plodding and boring. John O'Shea has come out and also hinted that if he was the permanent manager, he would have picked a very different squad. Now, that didn't really surprise me because he's an interim manager. So that would tell me that he's gone into this window being told, you are the interim manager. Now, whether that changed, because obviously he selected a squad as a deadline, he can't change it. You can replace people, you're allowed to replace, but you can't just make wholesale changes. So he's gone into this window believing he's the interim manager. Now, whether that's changed over the course of the whole Poyet thing or whatever, we don't know. Or the Carsley thing, which came out, we don't know, because that all came out during that window, the unveiling of the squads. So I'm not really sure where we are with that. But John O'Shea did say, if it was a different squad, if it was my squad, I would have picked different players. That doesn't surprise me because, yes, if he's the interim manager, he is basically there as it's a maintenance squad. He's not there to rock the boat. He's there to keep it ticking over, keep it warm for the next manager coming in. My personal opinion, and we're going to get to your comments in a minute, is, well, basically, I think it'll either be Chris Hughton or it'll be John O'Shea. I was completely wrong about Lee Carsley. No, I have no inside information. I'm yet again just going with conjecture. But I think it's just Chris Hughton. I've heard a whisper. I have no, this is not concrete at all, but I've heard a whisper about John O'Shea, not John O'Shea, that Chris Hughton had a deal with Ghana and he had to wait a little bit, something to do with gardening leave, etc. Otherwise, he wouldn't get a certain amount of money. I don't know how true that is. I have heard a whisper about that, which in a way would kind of make sense. And if it's not him, I think it will be John O'Shea. And as I said at the beginning, I wouldn't have minded too much, but I think if it is John O'Shea now, it will show that basically we have gone through plan A, B, C, D, E, F, possibly all right the way through the alphabet to John O'Shea. And that will be nothing but bad news for Mark Canham and Jonathan Hill, who's already under fire. So what do you think out there in YouTube and Facebook land? Do you think it's going to be John O'Shea? Do you want John O'Shea? Were you impressed by John O'Shea during the two windows there? Because it's looking like there's a very real chance it could be him. I mean, we're already hearing, Chris Coleman. We're already hearing Seamus Coleman come out and say, yeah, no, I think he's good. We're hearing Stephen Bradley say, if Seamus Coleman is saying he's really good, but we need to listen to him. And, you're sort of getting all the speed, Gary Breen has come out and said, let's go with O'Shea. Like all of a sudden now the heads are being turned and all the friends in the media and, the ex teammates and all this kind of thing, as you tend to get. So I don't know. Are we seeing a balloon or a kite being flown? Let's get into some of the comments here. And let's see what you got. Kenny Delahunt. How you doing, Kenny? Over there on Facebook. Di Matteo was at the match last week. And there's a bit of a confused emoji. Yeah, but to be fair though, Kenny, I think that was, I didn't actually realize this until Connor, who was live on the pod with me, at the aftermath, which you can check out in the archives on YouTube. He is actually Swiss born, and yeah, only played 24 times for Italy, Di Matteo, but he was just there as a spectator. And he's been out of the game for about 10 years as well, so I wouldn't be looking at him. Raymond McInerney, Martin O'Neill make a second chance. I hope not, Raymond. Jesus. Martin O'Neill, look, nothing against Martin O'Neill. He had a very good spell. It went wrong in the last year. He should have gone after the 5-1, not because of the 5-1, but because of his actions after that. He was flirting. He was flirting with Stoke. He was flirting with Everton. They wouldn't give him longer contracts. Apparently, they were only going to give him like 6-month deals. And then he's like, all right, then I'll stick with the FAI. So, and the last year, my God, it's absolutely pelting out. Sorry. And the last year, the Martin O'Neill era, it was absolutely torrid stuff. And we lost 2 key players, Declan Rice and, of course, Jack Grealish before that. And if you've ever listened to Martin O'Neill, he's a weekly guest on White and Jordan and Talksport. And he's the most bitter man I've ever heard. And basically, he has sort of compared trying to get Declan Rice to play for Ireland, even though he's Republic of Ireland manager at the time, as akin to a hostage situation. So, no, he did well for us, but he kind of did tarnish it, and he kind of felt, oh, the media didn't like me because it was from Northern Ireland. No, utter nonsense. But anyway, bit of a long-winded answer there. Richard Joyce, how you doing, Richard? Over on YouTube. Delighted Gus Poyet turn it down. Just don't like the idea of him being Ireland manager. Would prefer Roy Keane or Willie Sagnol. Well, Sagnol's going to the Euros. We're not. Neither's Gus Poyet. The whole Roy Keane thing. I don't think he's managed since like 2011, has he? I've heard rumors, unsubstantiated rumors, that he was asked to take over Roy Keane as Ireland interim manager, and I've heard it from a couple of people, and he turned it down, which would have been interesting. The thing is with Roy Keane, Richard, is that I'm not a massive Roy Keane fan. Superb player. World class, underrated. When he was younger, I remember him as when he was box to box, but he was an attacking midfielder. He could play anywhere. Played in central defense, right back. He could finish, he could head, he could do it all. He could tackle, read the game. Superb player. But not a massive fan of him over some of his exploits. However, do you know what? If they did get him in, it would kind of make a bit of sense because it would get the place rocking. I don't want him in, by the way. It would end in disaster because it always does with Roy Keane. But it would get the place rocking. It really would. It would get tickets. It would get people talking about Irish football. It would be all of a sudden a world football news story, and it would get ticket sales up. It would get major sponsorship. It would just be a complete disaster in the end. But you could sell it. You could turn around and say, "Well, we're going to pack them with the right team, etc." It would have made more sense if Chris Coleman and Neil Lennon, put it that way. Sean Whelan asks, "How are things?" Well, yeah, they're pretty good, Sean. I'm on my own, which is it's really peaceful actually. I'm not sure what you guys think of it. But yeah, no, all good. Bit of a mad day back. My first day back from work was a bit mental, but no, it's very good. When I'm finished there, I'm going to eat some crisps and an Easter egg, and then I'm going to be good for a month because I'm going to Berlin at the end of next month. But I hope you're well, Sean. I hope everyone else is well here on Lansdowne Roar, the Roar faithful out there. And of course, as always, guys, have you say, leave a comment and get involved. Ask me anything. I'm on here till the questions run out. Hold on, where are we? Richard Joyce again. First game that got me hooked was the first football match I ever watched, which was Ireland versus Spain 2002. World Cup, being a diehard fan ever since. Oh, good man, Richard. Yes, I remember watching that with my brother. We absolutely played him off the park. but just couldn't get that goal. How we didn't do that, how we didn't qualify for the quarterfinals, I will never know. We were superb, and they were down to 10 men as well. Imagine Roy Keane. Imagine if Ian Hart didn't take the penalty and Robbie Keane took both penalties. We had Roy Keane in the centre of the park. We couldn't got to the semis, I reckon. Stephen Ring. Well, Dave, Carsey turned it down. Poyet turned it down. I think at this stage, the manager with international club experience they will get is Steve Staunton. Christ. Yeah, I mean, I do. It'll be Chris Hughton or John O'Shea, in my humble opinion, Stephen. But yeah, it's not looking good, is it? It does kind of happen a bit, doesn't it? Remember with Steve Staunton when Brian Kerr was sacked unceremoniously, and they were like, "We're going to get a world class manager." That was the thing. Like, how do you usurp a League of Ireland darling, an Irish football darling like Brian Kerr, who, in my opinion, by the way, did not deserve to continue as Ireland manager. It should have been handled a hell of a lot better. But the team was failing under him. And if you want to talk to me about that, go ahead. Have at it. We're live. But when you usurp a League of Ireland darling, a legend of Irish football, and I said about a hint of irony, by the way. Then, John and Laney came out with the whole thing of, wow, we're going to get a world-class manager because that's what you do. And then it was, world-class management team. And then it was Steve Staunton and Bobby Robson, which was just, and yeah, it was failure to launch, shall we say, stuff. But no, look, this is actually, apparently, Stephen, this is the longest running managerial hunt. I think it was actually Steve Staunton to Trapattoni. That was the longest gap. I think this is taken over, if I read correctly. Fantastic article with Aidan Fitzmaurice and Dan McDonnell on the Independent there. Friends of the pod. I think it was 100. I think we're in 115 days. And that was like 111 days. So this is the longest search ever. But I remember that was quite convoluted too. Stephen Ring, again, the Times have announced that tonight the manager is set to be named on the 12th of April. Well, I'll tell you what, let me have a look at my calendar because we're going to have to be live for that one if they do. Where are we? 12th of April. That will be Friday, the 12th of April. We'll be live. I'll tell you what, Stephen, if we're live, if that is announced on the 12th of April, we are going to do a live reactionary episode. It might be at about 10 o'clock, but we will be live because that is going to be a cracker. Kelly Delahunt, hopefully we get a manager sooner than later. 12th of April, Kenny, according to Stephen there. Kenny, Stephen, do we have a Mick? No. Let me actually... I'm not doubting you, Stephen. At all. Actually, I have no doubt to. I've no reason to doubt any of the Irish, the Lansdowne Roar faithful, shall I say. Irish Times, new manager. Let's see there. Yep. So, Stephen Ring, as I knew he was. If you go into the Irish Times, guys, I'll tell you what. I can't even do it. I was gonna take a picture and put it up, but it is on the Irish Times website there. Pressure mounting on FAI as mystery surrounds identity of new manager. The FAI hopes to unveil their man on Friday, April 12th, having missed 3 previous deadlines. That comes from Gavin Comiskey. It's over there. But yet that is according to him. We're on 131 days for a search for a new manager. This is breaking all kinds of unwanted records. But that came out 5 hours ago. Kenny, as you asked there, when did that come out? Stephen Ring, top man. See, that's why I love doing these live shows, because you guys fill in the gaps, because we don't know everything or anything. Dec Finnegan, how are you doing, Dec? Not only did Jimmy Dunn score an outrageous goal, but he also got the fans man of the match with another outstanding display at right back, where he was excelled since he was moved from centre back. So he's a right back now. Is he? Because I'm sure you're watching. If you're still watching, Dec, and you watch him every week because you're a massive Orr supporter. What sort of right back is he? I take it he's not a wing back. Is he just more like a traditional right back in a flat back four? I don't know what style of football QPR play. But yeah, he has had no look at centre back. And to be fair, we have a plethora of centre backs at the moment. So we don't have a right back. We have Seamus Coleman, Matt Doherty, and Festi Ebisele. So we're definitely there. We have a dearth of talent there. Nothing against Seamus Coleman, but he's 35. Sebastian Knowlton, how are you doing? If it came down to Allardyce or Bruce, which of the two would you choose? Bruce. I'd choose Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce isn't a terrible manager. If it was 10 years ago, I wouldn't have minded to Steve Bruce, to be fair. He's got the connection. He seems like a very nice guy. He's a little bit eccentric. He wrote the book Striker. Did you ever see that? Apparently, he was Huddersfield manager, Sebastian. And yeah. And do you remember they were top? They were top of the championship, or it was probably still Division 1 to get into the Premier League. And it just kind of fell away. And apparently the story goes, I could be wrong on this, that they were doing really well. And then he started writing his book, Striker, which is about a football manager who turns like sleuth. He investigates a murder. I swear to God. And apparently he sort of took his eye off the ball, and the promotion race kind of fell away. I believe, anyway. I could be wrong, but it was around that time. Check him out. You can't buy them for love nor money, but some of the lines from it are superb. But yeah, going back to Steve Bruce, very good manager. He did a good job with Wigan. He did a very good job at Sunderland for a while until he had to sell his best players, Darren Bent, etc. I thought he was doing excellent with them. I remember he went to Stamford Bridge and got a victory there, actually. Newcastle didn't accept him. He is a Geordie, but he did manage Sunderland. And then he went to Newcastle, and they just never accepted him. We could have had him play for Ireland in USA '94. He told the story only recently, actually, a few days ago, I think, on TalkSport, where Jack Charlton rang up and said, "Why the hell didn't you tell me you're Irish? You could have been playing for us. Do you want to go to the World Cup? I'm 34." And he goes, it's all right. Kevin Moore's 38, and Paul McGrath was 34. And then at the time, you could only have like 3 foreign players in the team, and Alex Ferguson said, absolutely not. 3 foreign players in the team playing in the Champions League back then, and that's why apparently he didn't go to the World Cup. But he's a decent manager, Bruce, but I think his time has come, really, and gone. And you won't really see him at a top club, or maybe even a championship club, anytime soon. But thanks for those questions, guys. Keep them coming in. Get involved. I am going to be here until the end. Martin Fitzpatrick, if it's O'Shea, will you be disappointed? I wouldn't have been disappointed from the beginning. As I said, Martin, I'm trying to see the best of the FAI. I really am, and I've kind of get a bit of stick from some of my mates, like, you're under some of the FAI. No, I'm not. But there's only so many times you can, you kind of, it's only so many times you can sort of like give an association welly, and then is it a case of, do they deserve it? Or is it just kind of like for past crimes, should we say? And they definitely do deserve some welly. Absolutely. We saw the whole thing with Jonathan Hill. It was a disgrace. All of that stuff going on. The redacted email, etc., etc., etc. But you're kind of hoping that they'll get this right. And look, I understand that, like Lee Carsley does have, I've been led to believe, I could be wrong, that he has a habit of, no, I'm interested in, actually, no, it's not for me. And he kind of flips and flops a little bit, which he's entitled to do. That happens in football. You're given a word by your word by somebody. I'm not just on about Lee Carsley, and they go, actually, no, do you know what? No, I don't fancy it. Something comes up, and maybe they have an interest with a better job somewhere else. And you go, well, shit, like, what am I going to do here? That happens. But yeah, if they had to come out, if it comes out that it's John O'Shea after all of this, I will think that a lot has gone on, a lot of water's gone under the bridge, a lot of managers have turned it down. Why have they turned it down? Did he not believe in the project? Did he not believe in the players? Did he not believe in the FAI? Did he not believe in Mark Canham as a salesperson? I've never met the man. From what I've heard about Mark Canham, he comes out very diligent, very confident, very calm, very assuring. Who knows? And they're the questions that you start to ask if it does become someone like O'Shea. Now, I'm going to reserve judgment until the end, until the very end, actually. of this on the 12th of April, and then we'll see, and then we'll have a big row about it, and it could be something that we haven't even. It's like Trapattoni. I was reading that great article today. Trapattoni just came out of bang. Dennis O'Brien said, by the way, I'll give you 50% of his wages, and I went, oh, grand. So Trapattoni, lovely. And the selectors didn't know anything about it until the money was guaranteed. So you don't know. You really, really, really don't know. But I don't think they'll have anything of that with Dennis O'Brien. Well, certainly won't be Dennis O'Brien, but anything of that ilk, because obviously, they're under a lot more scrutiny now, aren't they? By Sport Ireland, the government, and everything. So it's probably a little bit dicey. Sorry, I've kind of gone off on a tangent there, Martin. But I would be, yes, disappointed if it's O'Shea, not because of the man himself, but more because the process has clearly failed. That's why. If they announced at the beginning, I wouldn't have an issue. Hopefully, I've gone through the weeds there. I do apologise, but hopefully that answers the question. Stephen Ring, when do we get the tennis balls out for Jonathan Hill? That was only the other day, wasn't it, Stephen? I was there. I was there in the singing end. I just started doing Lansdowne Road 5 years ago. I was standing there, like, all these balls are coming over. Like, shit, I better be recording this. Got the old phone out. It was a new phone at the time, Hawaii P20 Pro, and I couldn't get the record button working properly. So it was a fangly thing. And I think, do you know what? If the appointment is a disappointing appointment, although, to be fair with Jonathan Hill, actually, Stephen, I don't think he's going to be around long enough. That's my opinion. I don't think he's going to be around enough. Where, with this guy that, they can get rid of him if they wish to do so. It might be the only thing that might keep him in it is a payoff. They might not have the money for it, etc. Where Jonathan Hill, sorry, with John Delaney, you kind of felt he was like, he was president for life kind of thing. Like we were in Turkmenistan. I was watching a documentary about that. I think Turkmenistan, where you can't get rid of this guy, and that's why they were protesting. I don't think that's quite the case with Jonathan Hill. I think we have moved on a fair bit, but I don't think he'd be around long enough, to be honest. And if he's in the job, it's a poor appointment, and more comes up out about the emails. I think maybe that'll be it, but I don't think he'd be around. Deck Finnegan, if it was to be John O'Shea, wouldn't it be announced by now? Very true. But that's why I think, to be honest, Declan, if it's him, if it is John O'Shea announced, see what you think of this. I think if O'Shea is announced now, it means that the whole Gus Poyet thing was true, and that's who they were waiting for. In my opinion, unless I'm completely wrong, but that's what I think has happened there. If it was John O'Shea at the very, very start, as I said, he went into this window not believing he was going to be the manager. I not believe, but wasn't told. He was told you're interim manager. That's why he picked the squad he picked. The substitutions were very safe. Sort out the Sammy Smodic, sort out the Sammy Smodic situation. Get him in there. Get him playing. That goes away, because that was a cloud over the Kenny thing. Grand. Get a few lads involved, Finn Azaz, etc. That goes away. No, Matt Hardy, we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to make any statements. Get him in there. Seamus Coleman, well, he's 35, but you know what? Get him in there. We don't want him going away, because we have a dearth of options at right back. Other good players, but age, etc. At right back there. He said he would have picked a different squad. So I think if he does get it, it's because Gus Poyet or somebody else has turned it down. Richard Joyce, hope it's not O'Shea, had a decent game against a second Belgian side, got outplayed by an average Swiss side, didn't score in either game, so Kenny definitely rubbed off on him. Who are? Look, you'd have to listen, those two games, right? And we have to be very careful here, Richard, and you guys watching there as well. We have to remember, like, there were two games. We thought Stan was the Messiah after the 3-0 win against Sweden in his first game. And you go back and watch it, we were poor. Ibrahimovic absolutely ripped us apart. Him and Larson, they were going to score. I mean, they should have had about 2 or 3 goals. And then he gets injured, and then he lost momentum, and then we went for it. And, we got a deflection, and all of a sudden, Steve Staunton, and then the whole thing was a disaster. These two games, whether we did brilliantly in these two games or terribly in these two games, would not be a fair indictment or reflection on John O'Shea as Ireland manager. In either direction, because it's not enough. It's not enough. You could see the effect wear off in the second. They weren't really doing what we were doing in the second game. They weren't doing what they were doing in the first game. Now, is that because you got to tell players who aren't of world class level? Yeah, Moby always said this, didn't he, when he was coach, former Liverpool player, and he was a top class player. The top players, you tell them once, and then the further you go down the pyramid, the more times you have to tell them. You have to keep telling them and telling them and telling them. Maybe that's a lesson for the manager. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. I don't know either. But this is not a fair reflection on O'Shea either way, because I suspect if he didn't have the job, he would have picked a very different side. Kenny Delahunt, Alan Pardew, the new manager bounce. Chunky Pardew. The Chunky, is that him? Is he Chunky Pardew? He's quite tall, actually. You see him around London every now and again with his new manager bounce. But God, no. Headbutted, although he did headbutt David Myler, so, he's not too bad. I had to listen to his commentary, David Myler and Bird. I was like, who's this guy? It was like David Myler one. Oh, okay. He's commentating. John O'Mahony. Will Jimmy Dunn be capped anytime soon? Do you know what, John? He's very unlucky, isn't he? I think he's very unlucky. You got Darragh O'Shea, you got Nathan Collins, you got Andrew Amabomadeli now he's having a purple patch in terms of fitness. John Egan's out for a fair bit. Shane Duffy still to come back. Jake O'Brien doing really well at Lyon. And maybe he's going to get lost in the shuffle a bit. He might be like a Darragh Lenihan type character, not in terms of style of play, but just one that gets forgotten about. I think he's just very unlucky. But I'm hoping to get a response here from Deck Finnegan, and he has responded. Actually, good old Deck. But he is being converted to a right back, so we'll get to that in a minute and see what sort of right back he is. So if he becomes a good right back, that might reinvigorate him and actually might sort of wake it up a little bit for him, so to speak. Stephen O'Rourke. I think Roy Keane would fill the stadium, and if he works on his player management, he could get the best out of them players. Stephen, he would listen. If he was manager, he would sell out. Absolutely, you would have world press. You'd have everybody all over him. Sky would probably do a thing with him because he is a Sky employee. There'd be massive interest in the Ireland job, and people would get behind him because people in this country, in Ireland, love Roy Keane. I've no issue with that. And there are people that can't stand Roy Keane. I've also no issue with that. However, it's like in wrestling. If a good guy comes out and he cheer him, brilliant. The bad guy comes out and he boo him, brilliant. He's done his job. But if nobody cares, that's when you're in trouble. And with Roy Keane, for good or for bad, people would care. It would be a massive, massive news story. And in terms of working on his player management, there's no chance. Listen, Steve, I mean, you got to understand, I've never coached, by the way, but I've managed people in different jobs. Well, I'm sure we all have, right, in different jobs. And management, the fundamentals are quite similar. He, as a player, was phenomenal, gifted. He could read a game. And as he got older and he lost his legs and his hip, he could read a game. And that's why he stayed in the game for so long, until his body eventually gave up on him over poor choices made as a youngster, drinking, etc. He gets it. Like Graham Souness got it. He could see the game in his head. But the problem was he couldn't understand why you didn't get it. Now, when you're on the pitch with him, and players have said it, Jason McAteer said, he goes, I don't understand him. He looks bang average. Then you play with him. And what was so special about Roy Keane is that not only was he brilliant, but he made you brilliant because he was hounding you and hounding you and hounding you and hounding you. And that works when you're on the pitch with the guy. But when you're in the dugout and you're dealing with players, some will need an arm round, some will need a boot up the hole, some will need a silent trick. Yeah, you know what I mean? He can't get his head around that. When you have the whole, it's his job. That's what you do. Yeah, well, some players might thrive in that, but some players might actually want a bit, well, no, I need a pat in the head here, and that's how you lose the dressing room. And there's just no way. There's no way he can do it. Maybe, I reckon in the 90s, Roy Keane would have made a great manager in the 80s and 90s. Because he's got the tools for it. He's got the fundamentals. He's got that knowledge of the game. He played in the engine room for, one of the greatest sides of all time, that Man United team. Played with different players in different eras. And he was phenomenal. He played, with great players with art. He's got that knowledge. We just can't get it out of him because he doesn't know how to communicate it properly. And I don't think you can really work on that, Stephen, if I'm being honest with you. Brendan O'Sullivan says, give it to John O'Shea. Raymond McInerney says, sorry, I missed 15 minutes of the pod. Well, hopefully you've caught up there, Raymond. We're just just going through the comments, really. Just having a chat. It's just me on my own tonight. The two lads are out getting soused. Sebastian Knowlton agreed. Bruce might be a character, but I think his heart would be more into it. Plus, he nearly declared for Ireland before Ferguson threw the brakes on. Very true, Sebastian. And yeah, I agree there. Obviously, his son Alex played for the Republic and Northern Ireland. Played for Northern Ireland, then declared for the Republic, and then went back to Northern Ireland. Didn't really play for them, even though they probably could have done with him at the time because, coming back from that. But yeah, no, his heart would absolutely be in it. He seems like a nice guy, Steve Bruce, when you see him chatting away. But yeah, he's not a terrible manager by any stretch of the imagination. He's done okay in the Premier League, but I just do think his time has come and gone. Stephen Ring, I love John O'Shea, but you can't give a guy his first senior job as manager of the national team. That is in the middle of a major rebuild. That's true, Stephen. It has worked though before. I mean, didn't Franz Beckenbauer? I could be wrong. Franz Beckenbauer won the World Cup in 1990. The late Franz Beckenbauer. Now, yes, that was a class West Germany team. I'm not trying to compare that West German team to this Ireland team, by the way. But Mark Hughes, I think as well. Jurgen Klinsmann did well with Jogi Löw yet again. Although that German team was a good German team, but German football was at a very low ebb after Euro 2000, World Cup 2000, even though they got to the final, but the public weren't really behind. They'd lost the imagination of the German public. And, that was, I think, his first foray into as a manager. So it can work sometimes. Look, what I'll say about John O'Shea is as well, Stephen, is that, he does look the part. It's with Steve Staunton. He never looked the part. That first, I'm the gaffer. He never recovered from that. And I don't mean to pour more scorn on him. Scorn on him. But he never recovered from that. John O'Shea, he's so calm. He's United were media training players from in the 90s. The youth players, the class 92, had media training. Back 30 years ago, way ahead of its time. He's comfortable. He looks the part. He looks calm, and you see him getting involved. Yet again, though, these two, he looks like a manager. He talks like a manager, and he does not look like a guy in the Phoenix Park. Unfortunately, of course, I'm reversing Amy Duffy's words about Steve Staunton. But yet again, those two games are not enough. But it would be it's a good building base. It's a good building block. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if he became Ireland manager. But yet again, it would mean the process has fallen very badly. Dec Finnegan on Jimmy Dunn. I asked Dec, friend of the pod from Risk London, legend of Risk London, and also QPR. I did ask him about Jimmy Dunn. Jimmy Dunn is now starting to play as a right back for QPR, and Dec goes to all those games down at Loftus Road and a fair few away ones as well. So I asked him, what sort of right back is Jimmy Dunn? And he responds, a right back of a back four with license to go forward, not a wing back. Plays alongside Jake Clark Salter, whose pace and know-how allows Jimmy to get forward more often. Okay, so he is an option, a right back. And we were asked a question earlier on, will he get a cap? Well, if he's a good, competent right back, yeah, there's every chance he can. Best of luck to Jimmy Dunn with that. I mean, what a goal he did score. I'd love to show it on the pod, but we wouldn't be able to monetize it. James Herberlin has to be Neil Lennon, because it's supposed to be international experience. So if not, Lennon was told that they were looking for international experience. Give it to Lennon. So James Herberlin wants Neil Lennon. Oh boy. The problem is, though, James, is that Neil Lennon has an awful lot of baggage. A lot of off the pitch stuff. And, he had an issue there. Like when he was linked with the job, I'm not here to have a smear campaign, but just check, go on the internet yourself and have a look there, James, if you're not already aware of it. During his first run as Celtic manager, he was actually okay. And then he fell out of the club. I did a whole piece on him a while back and went through all his managerial roles and what happened, etc. But he has baggage. He tends to fall out with his clubs. that he's with. There's always kind of something that goes on. He left Celtic the first time because, to be fair, he had more he was ambitious. He wanted to do well in Europe. He kept selling his players, and fair enough. And then he went to Bolton, and it wasn't very good. But he has other stuff off the field issues. Been well publicized. He had one there. Apparently, he threatened his mistress. That's all there online. So that's a lot of baggage. And there's other things there as well. It's all, as I said, just type his name in. It's all in there, James. So yeah, for me, he wouldn't be for me now, to be fair. But during that first period of Celtic, he looked like he was becoming a real coach, a real manager. He did well in the second spell as well, but that also fell apart too. But yeah, just not for me. Stephen Ring, if it's to be John O'Shea, surely he would have been allowed to pick his own team instead of being told what to do. Yep, that goes back to my point, Stephen, that I think at the beginning of the window, we got to remember these squads are picked weeks in advance. So when that squad was picked and the deadline had passed, I think he was under the, not illusion, but he was under the assumption, or the mantra, or whatever, I can't think of the word. You are going to be the interim manager. That is it. And then, because we got somebody lined up, and then that's probably changed and somebody's pulled out. You are. And all this kind of, because it's football, things happen. And all of a sudden they might go, do you know what, actually, John, didn't he do well there in his black suit and all that? And then, you get all the player, then, Mark Cannam's going to Seamus Coleman, here, Seamus, do us a favor, really. Here's a fiver. Just, tell him how great the sections were and all that. Let's build up. He's our manager, wasn't he great? And all the players go, yeah, he's really good. And then the public go, well, actually, no, he's not too bad. If that happens, I can see that happening as well. I still think it'd be Chris Hughton. I did say it'd be an Ireland legend at some point if it wasn't Lee Carsley. Although I was completely wrong about Lee Carsley, but I think it'd be Chris Hughton. But if not, it'd be John O'Shea. That's my opinion. Martin Prendergast. Oh, here we are. Happy Easter to all. Sorry, not on tonight. Keeping the faith in Irish football. And thanks for all your support of the show. Good man, Dave. Good man, Martin. Thank you very much. So isn't it lovely, isn't it? No Martin here on the pod. Martin, who I last saw, I'll show you a picture here. Comes into the media. Well, he wasn't in the media section. Okay. He was on the other side of the media section. He was to my right. I always sit in the edge. I'm sure when you see me, I always sit in that edge there in that particular row. And he came over. He did have a ticket for that. And he took a picture. And if you see to the right there we were with Connor as well, who made his debut that day on Lansdowne Roar Live. And what a fantastic job he did as well, young Connor. We'll be getting him on a lot more live episodes when we go abroad this year. Anyway, back to the comments. Blue and Gold, how you doing, Blue and Gold? Noel Quinn is the man to get the FAI back together. When Sunderland owner, he knew what was needed and got keen. Yep, we did try that. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't think he wanted the job full time. He was probably aware of the pitfalls and the politics of Irish football. To be fair, I think Irish football from a boardroom level was. I don't know if it's the case now. We have a new board in. That takes time for things to bed in. But Irish football was so rudimentary. I mean, he's talking about getting tax breaks for League of Ireland clubs. Basic stuff. At the time when Niall Quinn came in, you think, obviously even before he came in, you're thinking, geez, has no one thought of this? Just that basic sort of bedrock stuff for Irish football. Little things. Oh, let's get. We need money, so let's try and get as much money from the government. Let's save as much money from the government, etc., etc., etc. Now, obviously, they got the blueprint and all that. So he knows his stuff. He did a great job with Sunderland. I mean, he went in. That club was on his knees, and he went in. I think Bob Murray was the previous chairman. He went in there. He got Roy Keane. He got the place rocking again. He went to pubs and went up to lapsed season ticket holders. I went, look, we're doing things differently. Come on, renew your season ticket. Things like that Niall Quinn would do. I wouldn't be against it, Niall Quinn. Although he was there before, and I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, that's a guy at boardroom level. He gets it. He understands football. He's a businessman. I wouldn't be all against it, but I'm not sure at what level. But yeah, Wayne Long. No one seems to want the Ireland job. We should be trying to get a young, enthusiastic manager. John O'Shea will probably get it because no one else wants to match the energy levels. I think that's where we're at, Wayne. To be honest, Damien Duff came out and he was talking about League of Ireland for me. Like, isn't it mad? When I was a kid, the Irish football team. It was all about the Irish football team. Excuse me. It was all about the Irish football team. Jack's lads. You could find. I remember the stickers with the heads, not the stick. That like the car window things. Ronnie Whelan. Every newspaper, every ad, you saw Jack on something. Mick McCarthy was trying to sell you something. Right. Ronnie Whelan had a Mitsubishi Telly that he wanted you to buy. Jack was on a mountaintop somewhere with an Opel Kadett. It was mad. And you never heard of the League of Ireland, and you look even the 2000s. Oh, yeah, we're getting a cut. Nothing. Now, in 2024, I don't live in Ireland anymore. The roles have reversed. It's all about the League of Ireland, which is great, by the way. 10,000, over 10,000. So like a 30-year record, I think, was broken for a League of Ireland game for Shamrock Rovers and both. Fantastic, by the way. I'm delighted. I want both. If we could get a League of Ireland that's cooking, and that's spilling into an Irish football team in the next couple of decades, be brilliant. But the national team is in a state. Georgia's going to championships. They're going to a championship. They've worked hard. There's other teams as well. They've caught up with us. We always relied on England as our academy, English clubs as our academy, basically. And some cast-offs. I don't want to sound terrible, but players that couldn't get into the England team or Scotland, whatever, or chose Ireland over England or Scotland. Because we didn't have our own academies, we didn't have our own rotator belt of talent coming through, and we are now in such a bad situation. We've got some talented players, and I think it will get better. But it just seems like the international game's been run into the ground, and also as well, Wayne. I think from the FAI will have to take a lot of blame for that. You look at this whole deal with Kistori. There's a disenfranchisement there. There's a disconnect there. People wanted Adidas. Now, of course, the money was on the table for Kistori. You look at things, and there's just no energy behind the Irish football team, which breaks my heart as a lifelong, supporter of the Irish football team. And you have to stick with them during the bad times as well as the good. There will be good times again, but just no energy. When I went back over, rugby players and everything, and GA players, and that's great. There wasn't one Irish player. There was no Roy Keane on a 7-Up bottle, or it's like, Jesus, this is really bad. And you wouldn't think that there was 2 Ireland matches on when I went over in those 2 days. There was no buzz. And there was 38,000 in the first game, and there was 35,000. That's not to be sneezed at. It's a 50,000 seater stadium. They're good numbers, but you kind of go there's no energy here. And that's on all levels. But anyway, I could go on. Shane Brown, this group needs a strong coach with strong people skills. Carsley or similar type seems ideal, but I actually feel better about O'Shea getting the job after this window. That's fair, Shane, and I understand that, but let's not get carried away. There were a lot of questions asked, and I did say that the big questions will be asked with the Switzerland game, because people in Switzerland are an okay side. They qualify for a lot of tournaments, play some good football. They're organised, they're slick on the ball. One touch passing. We're very rigid. We're very uncomfortable, very contrived. But they're the worst out. They were the worst out of 2 teams, because Belgium and number 4. But Belgium was it was a second string side, and they were playing England a few days later in Wembley. I thought Switzerland would pose more problems, and they did. They really did. And there was a lot of issues. The goalkeeper, the defending, the lack of intensity. The substitutions I wasn't hot on. I know Martin was creaming himself with the substitutions. I didn't think the substitutions were great. I didn't see the point in bringing Finn Azaz on for 5 minutes. The game needed livening up. The crowd needed awakening up. Get a bit of flair. Now, yet again, if he's interim coach, he doesn't want to rock the boat too much. But I need to see more from O'Shea. as I said, I wouldn't be mad at it if he got the job. I'd be disappointed because the process has failed. But I need to see more before I fully believe in him. Stephen Ring, just on Yogi Low, the Germany job was his eighth managerial position, albeit the height of his management was Stuttgart and Rapid Vienna. Good man, Stephen. Yeah, he was. Yeah, so he was sort of like because it was Klinsmann's first job. He was Klinsmann's right hand man, wasn't he? He was sort of like the figurehead of the whole thing. Because he's quite an eccentric character. Jurgen Klinsmann lived in L.A. at the time, didn't he? California, bit of a hippie, showing up in his yeah, but Volkswagen, like the passion wagon, and and his jeans and all that. He was just very sort of like just a big personality, very un-German, so to speak. But I didn't know it was his eighth job. But I mean, he won the World Cup with Germany in the end, didn't he? Um, Going on there, Hubert McLaughlin. Lads, Jimmy Dunn isn't good enough. I foresee a Northern Ireland cap in his future. Oh, controversial, Hubert. I didn't know Jimmy Dunn. Why do you say Hubert? Why do you say Northern Ireland? Does he have family from Northern Ireland? He's born in Dundalk. Very possible. He joined the Manchester United Academy in Belfast at the age of 10. Why do you reckon Northern Ireland? Hubert, is there something that I'm missing there? About your knowledge, by the way. I don't know everything about the lad. Or do you reckon it's just because of the whole Good Friday Agreement thing? I'm not too sure how that works. But do let us know. Alan Minnick, it is getting to be an embarrassing situation where no one wants the job. I would have loved to have seen Chris Coleman got it. Why? Really, Chris Coleman? I mean, you talk about baggage, Alan. You put in Chris Coleman's name in the Google machine, and you'll see some baggage, mate. And didn't he's at Real Sociedad, and he was out in the lash, and he missed a press conference, and he said his washing machine flooded, and then actually turned around and said, no, it actually wasn't. Did okay with Wales, but he had a decent Wales team and a good spine there, and a generational talent like Gareth Bale. So I know his dad was a Dublinman, but I don't know. Shane Brown, the only announcement that shows any level of confidence in FAI process would have been a Carsley or Anthony Barry announcement. I take O'Shea now, but anything else is a failed effort, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree there, Shane. I think if Chris, Euton got it. Nothing against Chris, lovely man, trailblazer, great footballer, and a good coach, good manager in his day. Is announced. I don't think that would get the juices going. I think people would be like, "Oh, really?" The whole safe pair of hands thing, which doesn't get people going. Yeah, as I said, I think back in the day was that Carsley. I would understand why Anthony Barry would why you'd go Anthony Barry. You saw the impact he made with the Ireland team, straight in, positive impact. And when he went, the muscle memory, there's a little bit of muscle memory after he went, but then that goes. And you saw we fell apart. We became a soft as shite, to be honest with you. We were hard to beat for a bit, and then we got sussed out. And what happened. John O'Shea came in. He didn't quite make the impact. Now that was that because Kenny wouldn't listen to him, or John O'Shea didn't raise his voice, because obviously he's corrected the issues under Stephen Kenny. The style of football, having a plan B, mixing up a little bit, these kind of things that Stephen Kenny just refused to do. John O'Shea corrected those. Not hard, really. But why were those mistakes made on Kenny? If he's on the backroom staff, was he not listening? Did you not raise a voice? Anyway, I could go on. But yeah, Anthony Barry, I mean, he's going to the Euros, isn't he, with Portugal? And he's also, he's going to be part of the Bayern Munich. He's going to be part of the Bayern Munich setup up until May, till the end of the season, because Tuchel is on his way out, because Tuchel's fallen out with another club, as he always does. And yeah, I'll reserve my judgment, Shane, until the end of the process, or till the end of the announcement on the 12th of April, we believe. But I don't know. I'd agree with you there on those. I would take O'Shea. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'd be looking at the process going, lads, what happened? It would be. It'd be a case of what happened, because he's clearly not your number one. You would have announced him by now. And if they had have announced John O'Shea, by the way, if Carsey said no, and Anthony Barry's a non-runner because seven-figure sum got him out of his Chelsea contract to join Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich. Um, you go, yeah, John O'Shea. Okay, yeah, okay, we'll go with that. It's a punt. Every manager's a punt, really, but we see why. Blue and gold. In JA, when a player is finished, he gives back to the club. Munster Rugby Club did a squad connection to fans by dropping off players in the four corners of Munster and to get them to make that's their own way back to Limerick. That's what is missing with the FAI. Yeah, I mean, there is a connection missing with the FAI. The FAI are fighting. And this is why I wanted to give the FAI a chance. New FAI, as if in post John Delaney, is that they are fighting an upward battle. Ever since their inception, or conception. Oh, yeah. In 1921, they have been fighting an uphill battle. They had an Irish government that basically made it very difficult for them to be a success. The entertainment tax, because they were a professional outfit, the JA weren't. Obviously it was very, when the Irish Republic was formed, things were made very difficult. The whole thing with the IFA, they've had a massive battles as well. And now, for such a small country, like we're a country that's really good at a lot of sports. We always have a world champion somewhere, rowing and boxing and all sorts. UFC at one point, WWE at another. So there's a land grab there, and the JA are miles ahead of the FEI in terms of land grabs down. I'm not having a go, by the way, at the JA. Fair play to them. But like places like Kerry, etc., you only have a team down in Kerry now, first one there in years, and they're starting to do well. They're starting to do okay at least, but it's a fair bit of support down there. So they're always fighting an uphill battle, the FAI. And I think they just have this tag of being incompetent gobshites. I'm not saying they are now, but that's the tag. There were, when Donny, I think it was Donny Butler. Is it Donny Butler? He was the guy. He passed away, and he was I can't think of the guy. He was head of the FEI. Is it Donny Butler? He was the head of the FEI. He was the guy that got the deal with General Motors with Opel. And he said, look, we have to build a merchandise thing. We have to invest in a squad. We have to get that connection. And that's when you had the Irish lads on everything. That was back in the 80s and 90s. And that was him. He passed away, actually, I think, in early 2000. Is it Donny Butler, lads? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know the guy I'm talking about. I could see him now. Is it Tony O'Neill? Dr. Tony O'Neill. Is it Tony O'Neill? Donny Butler, Tony O'Neill. I can't think of the names. I think it was Tony O'Neill. Anyway. And he was quick to the mark on that. They don't have that now. There's no connection. And as I said, after the Night Along Knives, the whole debacle with Aircon Park, then the John Delaney era, it's just generations of incompetence. In the 60s, when the League of Ireland was cooking, and then the advent of pipe television in Match of the Day arriving in Ireland, and the people hadn't put the facilities up because people in charge of the game weren't really up to it. They've just been fighting a losing battle for years and years and years. And, you're kind of waiting for that watershed moment. There was a watershed moment in the 80s when Jack Charlton took the job, and the money was coming into the game for the first time, albeit through the international game, which clearly, for whatever reason, didn't go into not a cast aspersions, didn't go into the local game, didn't go into the League of Ireland when it really should have, because that money generated from that should have gone into grassroots. Get your own national stadium, i.e. Aircon Park, build the game, build the academies, and get a League of Ireland. We could have been 30 years ahead where League of Ireland is now, which is great. We could have been 30 years ahead further into the future if proper investment had gone on. That's depressing, especially for somebody who's nearly 40. Anyway, banging on. Stephen Ring was reading earlier that Laurent Blanc was let go from Lyon in September. What if he had a gardening leave in his contract too? Would be great aside shout for the job. Not a terrible choice. I can't see us being able to afford him. I know Harvey Ranard. Nick's probably jumping up and down watching this going, Harvey Ranard. You don't know. I mean, the Trapattoni one came out of the blue, completely out of the blue the last time around. I doubt it. I doubt it, but you never know. Alan Minnick. Also, FEI shouldn't be charged a crazy price for friendlies when a team is not playing well. That's true. On one hand, you're like, we need the money. On the other hand, you need bums on seats. You need a connection. You need to build foundations. You need to build relationships with your fans. They have done well. Certain aspects of the FEI have been excellent. The social media aspect has been really good. The videos, they've really upped their game over the last while. Might have something to do with watching Lansdowne Road over the last 5 years and what we've been doing with certain things. But other aspects of the squad, trying to introduce players to the fans again, is a very good shout. But yes, the ticket situation was crazy. That needs a rethink, Alan. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with us there. And yeah, like they need to look at that. They need to take into account, right? Not everybody lives in Dublin. Now, if I'm flying in from London, which I do, and Martin does as well, I'm taking time off for that. But if you might not be able to do that. You might be living down in Cork. You might be living up in the north. Coming down from Ulster, Donegal. One of the friends of the pod, comes down from Donegal from the games. It's not easy, and they can't go to two games sometimes because the distance. And transport in Ireland is not great. If you don't own a car, you're at a serious disadvantage. So they need to look at that. They have to revisit that. They have to get bums on seats. They have to build that connection. They have to build the next generation of fans. The teams that are very low ebb. I do think we will get there, but there's a lot of work to be done. Raymond McInerney, Jurgen the German, was very dynamic in the Bundesliga. He was an American. He has an American partner. Jurgen the German. Yeah, it was in Cheetah One. What's her name? She told him to go to it doesn't surprise me. Oh, sorry, Jurgen Klinsmann, not Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool on the brain. Let's see, his spouse, Debbie Chin. Good man, Jurgen. Debbie Chin was born in well-known American model, San Jose. Yeah, there you go. Tell you what, lads, type in Debbie Chin. Well played, Jurgen Klinsmann. Well played indeed, son. Why is Chris Houston not in the conversation? You corrected there. I was going to say, I won't get smart. You've corrected that there, Peter, with Houghton. I think he's flying under the radar a little bit. My gut instinct, Peter, that it will be Chris Houghton. But for me, just wouldn't. He just wouldn't get the juices going for me, to be honest with you. A very sort of, shall we say, conservative coach. Now, we heard stuff about him saying that he's like, he's a student of the game and all this kind of stuff. Sorry, folks. I've just, in the excitement of getting on, I forgot to plug in my laptop. So I'm running out of battery power. Here we go. And I've just kind of broken my, hold on. There you go. I can never get everything. I always mess up somehow, don't I, on the pod, either the microphone issue, it's on mute, whatever. I forget to plug in the laptop. But yeah, sorry, go back to Chris Houghton, Peter. He's a very conservative coach. Teams don't play great football. Probably, he's 64 now, isn't he? And maybe 10 years ago, there would have been a conversation there. Can he learn? Can he teach an old dog new tricks? I don't know. I do think it will be him. That's the mad thing about it. I wouldn't be happy about it. Listen, and I would get behind him and support him. But yeah, it would just be it wouldn't be the most entertaining football to watch, although it might be winning football, which might be enough for people. Isn't it mad that people now, back in the day, were shouting for, we need to play better football, and then we were playing passing football and it was terrible, and now everyone's like, we need to mix it up, we need to hit it long. It's gone completely on its head. But I do think it will be Chris Houghton. Peter, I have no inside information. That's pure conjecture. I just think there is a gardening leave stipulation, I think, with his contract with Ghana, and that's maybe why they made the April thing. I don't know. Raymond McInerney, muscle memory loss happens to the best. Look at Stephen Hendry. My absolute hero, one of my absolute heroes growing up as a kid, Raymond, and I loved it when he knocked Steve Davis off his perch. And yeah, he got the yips, didn't he? got the yips and he couldn't. I always wonder because when I watch Stephen Hendry, and he kind of get to a break of about 30 when he was in decline, and he just missed a sitter. I'm like, what's happened there? It used to be absolutely like nerve wracking watching him. When he kind of hit his 30s, and it was because he had the yips. He didn't know. He just his hand would just stop short, and he'd miss. Great player. Have met him. Very nice man. I did actually say to him that I did not. I still haven't forgiven, and nor will I forgive Ken Doherty for ruining his 6 in a row. Probably the only man in Ireland in 1997 cheering for Stephen Hendry. Richard Joyce, the dream manager for the Ireland job will be Antonio Conte. The reality is Roy Keane, never O'Shea. Much too soon for him. Maybe in 4 or 5 years, but no, not a hope. Thing is, though, Richard, with Roy, I mean, yeah, Conte, but although he likes to burn things down a bit as well, doesn't he? The only thing is that I had plugged in my laptop, but I hadn't put it in properly. The only thing is, though, with Roy Keane, he hasn't managed since 2011, and I don't think so. Don't. It would be entertaining. It would be very entertaining, but it would be a car crash under Roy Keane. But the thing with John O'Shea is, I don't know. I mean, he seems to be he seems to look the part. He's got his team there. That is, I do believe that will be the backroom team. Yet again, conjecture. Don't actually know. So he seems to look very. I don't know. You look comfortable. You look comfortable, Richard. But who knows? Dave McGuinness. It has to be Uton. It probably will be. You know, it's as I said before. I think it will be Chris Hughton, but it wouldn't get the juices going for me. Declan Finnegan answers my question. Jimmy Dunn qualified for Northern Ireland through a grandparent. Good man, Declan. I mean, he's in Dundalk, Declan, isn't he? So, you know, chances are he's just a few miles over the border. But yeah, thank you for that, Declan, as always. Dave McGuinness, brilliant night in Tallaght Stadium on Friday night. Support the League of Ireland. The product is superb. It really has done well, David, hasn't it? It's great to see it. It's just a shame that the national team's in the doldrums at the moment. But absolutely, it's fantastic to see 10,000. And doesn't it go to show you, like Shamrock Rovers, right, have maximized their opportunity with the stadium. They've got it. They've got the academy up and running. They've used the money they're generating from that way more than the FA Cup. I think Dan McDonald said it was way more than the FAI Cup windfall that they got for winning that. And they've just maximized everything, Shamrock Rovers. And fair play to them. Got a 10,000 seater stadium. They're going to pack it out probably most nights, we hope, for them. And that goes to show you, doesn't it? The League of Ireland, it can be profitable. It can be marketable. And it's going in the right direction. And I think it's wonderful. Alan Fay, what is taking so long? My God. I presume, Alan, you're talking about the Irish job. I just think a lot of people have turned it down by the sounds of it. If you're to believe what's been read, we won't know. April 12th. 12th of April, we will be live for a managerial reaction episode there on the 12th of April. That is a Friday, so I can't wait for that. Archduke 8199. Did I see a picture of Pat Bonner or Roberto Di Matteo on one of the recent friendlies? What was the story there? Archduke, that is true. He was our supporting Switzerland because he is actually Swiss born. That's why. Blue and Gold and GAA first, but the next mistake FEI are going to make is changing the season to clash with the GAA. Yeah. If that's what they're going to do. I don't think. I don't know enough about that to comment on a blue and gold. I will bow to your knowledge on that. But yeah, I mean, to take on the GA, especially in rural parts of Ireland, that is probably not a good idea. So my brother once said to me, I have my kids playing GAA because they're the best crash in the world. Fair enough. Raymond McInerney, Opel Cars. Yes, General Motors. Do you remember them? That deal with Arnold O'Byrne, with his weird accent, it's a deal that we have now. We see now with Sky, where the shirts have the sponsor on it. That was a deal, and we cannot seem to get away from it. But that was thanks to Arnold O'Byrne and either Dr. Tony O'Neill or Donny Butler. One of those two. If I see the guy's face, hold on. Yes, it was Dr. Tony O'Neill. That's him. Um, yes, Dr. Tony O'Neill. I was right. Well, not Tony Butler. Dr. Tony O'Neill. He died in 1999 at the age of 53. Just reading a report there from also the late Peter Byrne, and he was a superb administrator in the FEI. That is somebody. He is somebody that the FEI badly, badly missed. He was the man who had his finger on the pulse. Dr. Tony O'Neill got the whole Charlton thing. He saw the players because it was a fabulous team in 86, 87. He got the merchandise up. He merched the shit out of the boys in green. I'm telling you now, if you don't remember it, if you're in your 20s, you won't remember it. I'm nearly 40. I can remember the lads were on everything, everything. And that Ireland team, they were like gods at that time. It was smart, and that's what we need. Someone like Dr. Tony O'Neill. William Wallace, he wants Steve Bruce. Bit past his time, I think. Stephen Ring with only one more home doubleheader in the one winner this year, which is England and Greece. They will hardly do another package deal. Surely they are big enough to sell on their own. But it will be interesting how they market the Hungary game. Ideally, it will be advertised as first game of the new manager. But I have no faith in the FEI. Yeah, that's right. We're playing Portugal in Porto. Sorry, not Porto. I'm flying to Porto to get to the game. And then we're playing Hungary. No, we're playing Hungary first, isn't it? Are we playing Hungary first, and then it's Portugal or Portugal and Hungary? I can't remember. Anyway, Harvey Ranard is such an obvious choice for the job, so the FEI will never pick him, says Stephen Ray. You can hear in the background, it's my angry bunny. It's her day. She's an Easter bunny, and I'm sorry, I'm talking to you guys instead. Sorry about that. Richard Joyce, Keane hasn't coached since 2011. O'Shea hasn't coached ever. Hasn't coached ever. When you weigh it out, the obvious choice is Keane over O'Shea. Frank Gowan, I don't think they have anyone lined up. John O'Shea fits the agenda and would be decent. And Raymond McInerney says, thanks. Thank you, Raymond McInerney. And the last comment, guys, and then I'm going to leave you to it because I'm going to have some chocolate. Stephen Ring, am I the only person that thinks it's such a slap in the face that when Sky was just sponsoring the women's team last year and the little girls wanted to get the shirts with Sky on them to show support for them at the World Cup and differentiate their support for them over the women, but the story in the FEI said no. But now that Sky sponsored the men, you can only get the kit with Sky on it. It's a bit mad. It's a stupid thing, by the way. But Sky, I'd imagine that's not an FEI thing. That's a Sky thing. And the FEI need the money. And the FEI are in no, I'm not having to go with the FEI, but they're in no position to start dictating terms to anybody. If Sky turn around and go, we're going to listen, you're just going to have every shirt with Sky in it. Okay. It's that simple. But yeah, I hear you on that one. It needs to be a different rule for one. A couple of more comments coming in. Deck Finnegan, when Jimmy was on loan to Hearts, he was spoken to by Michael O'Neill about playing for Northern Ireland. And Michael O'Neill gives out about us stealing Catholic players from the North. Shane Brown, on the subject of grassroots, congratulations to Jordan Doherty, young dub lad and a former Voice player who scored for the mighty Tampa Bay Rowdies last night. Good man. Jordan Doherty and good man Shane Brown. And thank you very much. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Sorry, it was just me on tonight. We will be back next week. We will have a state of play during the week. Martin and myself will be back on that. Thank you, as always, guys, for your support. You are wonderful. You're very, very lovely. As always, if you like what you hear, love what you see, hit that subscribe button. Well, there isn't a QR code there. But scan a QR code if you see one. Just scan it. Great. Head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter. We are trying to grow the YouTube channel, and your support there would be fantastic. Tell people about us. We are the most interactive podcast in Irish football because, yeah, we let you have you say. You make the podcast, The Roar Faithful. As always, not as always, we do have an email address. It is pod@lansdowneroar.ie. That is pod@lansdowneroar.ie if you want to contact us. If you have a story to tell us, anything you want to talk about, you want it read out on episodes of State of Play, give us a shout. We want to hear from you. Anyway, I'm David Dunn. You've all been lovely. It's Easter Sunday. I'm going to have an Easter egg. And I hope you guys have your pint of Guinness or an Easter egg, wherever you're watching around the globe, and you have a wonderful Easter Sunday. Thank you, as always. Good night. God bless. Come on, you boys in green.
Lansdowne Roar.